Hello and welcome to Charch Chat. I am Paul Charchian from LeagueSafe.com. Thanks for joining us here at Open Sports. It's sneak attack passing game style. This is something we do near the end of every week where I talk about some of the sneaky plays from the quarterback and wide receiver position. As we look ahead here for week 8, I've got 4 guys for you, 2 quarterbacks and 2 wide receivers. We begin with Jeff Garcia. He's going up against Dallas, and you know what? If Mark Bulger can look okay against Dallas, I think Garcia can look just fine. Obviously, the Dallas secondary in shambles. Pac-Man's out. Terrence Newman's hurt. Roy Williams done for the year. They just don't have the personnel back there anymore. And Garcia coming off a 310-yard, 1-touchdown performance last week against Seattle. It's a better secondary. And so I feel like there's a very good opportunity for Garcia and Tampa to step up. Garcia also gets Joey Galloway back. He may not play a full role here, but just another receiver that can work into the mix and can help him out a little bit. So you roll that together, and a good opportunity for Jeff Garcia to put up respectable fantasy numbers against a very bad secondary. Next, we go to Mark Bulger. Just mentioned Bulger. I had him pegged last week, and we actually also talked about his one of his wide receivers as well, Donnie Avery. So let's go to this week. Goes up against New England. Now, I'm just not a believer in the New England secondary. If you've seen me talk about this a bit before, you've heard this before, but just don't have the personnel back there. Sometimes they can pull it off and mask it, but then other games like the San Diego games, teams just go after that secondary. And Rodney Harrison is now out. That's a big loss to an already very thin secondary. So I'm not a big believer. Granted, they shut down Jay Cutler last week, but remember, he injured himself right off the bat in last week's game. So I don't think knocking down Cutler means as much as the fact that they gave up 6 passing touchdowns the previous 2 weeks. New England did. So Mark Bulger, while I'm not saying he's going to go and throw 303, I do think you could get 225 and 1 or 2 out of Bulger and as a bye week fill-in. That might not be too bad. All right, let's go to a couple of receivers. First is Antoine Randall L., a guy who I've never liked, never have him on any of my teams. I'm just kind of lukewarm on him, and just the scoring cycle is just not enough for me. But the opponent this week is what this is all about. It's Detroit. They rank second to last against the pass, and only Arizona's allowed more touchdowns than they have, passing touchdowns than they have. So this is a very good opportunity for Antoine Randall L., and I see Jason Campbell having a big game here as well. And if he weren't it might be a little too obvious, so I didn't include him in the quarterbacks. But definitely something you can think about. So Randall L. available in most leagues. You can pick him up, start him this week against the Lions. And then here's a really deep sleeper for you. Brad Smith. I know what you're saying. Who? He may be your starting wide receiver for the Jets this week as they take on Kansas City. Now, teams usually end up running on Kansas City because their run defense is terrible. They rank last in the league, and so they don't spend as much time passing. But maybe we see a little more of a balance here. Maybe this game's a little tighter for longer, and they don't go entirely to Thomas Jones for this one, and that's a possibility. So Brad Smith, here's the situation. Both Coles and Kotchery are hurt. Coles is listed as probable. Kotchery is listed as questionable. Neither guy practiced all week, so a lot of concern here over who's going to start. And if either one misses time, your likely replacement is Brad Smith. Now, you might think it would be Chancey Stuckey, who's gotten some touchdowns, but I think they want to keep him in the slot, and they like him in the slot. So I think they're going to keep him in the slot. They're going to move in Brad Smith. If either guy can't go, there's a pretty good chance that Kotchery doesn't play in this game. So Brad Smith is a deep sleeper here against a Kansas City secondary that looks good on paper, but the personnel's just not there to back it up. And just because a lot of teams run on Kansas City doesn't mean that the Jets aren't going to score some touchdowns through the air. So there you go. 4 different guys you can pick up on this, a sneak attack passing style. Thanks for watching here at Open Sports. If you have any questions specifically for me to address, we spend our midweek topics are helped by you and your questions. You can send your questions to fantasy@opensports.com. All right, there you go. Thanks for watching. Paul Charchian again from LeagueSafe. Thanks for joining us here at Open Sports.
So you think you can tackle a pro? There's only one way to find out. Click on fantasy@opensports.com.